Welcome to a special edition of Jesse Watters Primetime. I'm Kayleigh McEnany. There's one thing that every Republican candidate has in common. The second you start to become popular, the liberal media will come after you. We've seen it time and time again. It's true for Trump, DeSantis. It even happened to Vivek once he made a splash at the debates. And today, it's true for Nikki Haley. At a town hall event yesterday, Nikki Haley was asked an odd question about the Civil War.
What was the cause of the United States Civil War?
Well, don't come with an easy question, right? I mean, I think the cause of the Civil War was basically how government was going to run, the freedoms and what people could and couldn't do. What do you think the cause of the Civil War was?
I'm not running for president. I wanted to see your viewpoint on the cause of the Civil War.
I mean, I think it always comes down to the role of government and what the rights of the people are. And I will always stand by the fact that I think government was intended to secure the rights and freedoms of the people.
Thank you. And in the year 2023, it's astonishing to me that you answer that question without mentioning the word slavery.
What do you want me to say about slavery?
No, you've answered my question. Thank you.
Now, Haley seemed caught off guard. She could have answered the question better. Obviously, the Civil War was about slavery. We all know that. She clarified this morning.
I think everybody thinks that the Civil War is about slavery. It was more, what's the bigger issue of it? You know, we went through 80 years of that, and we know that people were struggling with what's the role of government, what's the role of individual freedom. And the lesson we should take away from Civil Wars, yes, never allow slavery to happen again, but what does that mean for government and the role of individual freedom? We want every person to have the freedom of speech, religion, to live their life in any way without anyone doing anything to hamper that. That's what this was about. So if it required clarification of saying, yes, the Civil War was about slavery.
In a radio interview, Haley said something else that was very interesting. She thinks the person who asked her that question was a plant sent to trip her up and spin the media into a frenzy.
Did you know last night when you were being asked by this one individual that it was you're saying a Democrat plant, or did you think it was just a typical New Hampshire voter?
No, it was definitely a Democrat plant. That's why I said, what does it mean to you? And if you notice, he didn't answer anything. The same reason he didn't tell the reporters what his name was. The same reason he went and showed the guy that he was with the tweet that went up after he did it. We see these guys when they come in. We know what they're doing, and we know from the second they ask the question.
That person was hired. They deserve a bonus because they got exactly what they wanted. Biden used the flub to dunk on Haley, tweeting, "It was about the slavery. Must have done that from the beach." And the media did what they always do to Republicans.
There's almost no other answer that she could give in this Republican primary that wouldn't, take some votes away from her as she is moving forward.
It is reflective of where the Republican base is right now, that you can't tell a simple truth for fear of losing voters in what has become such a radicalized Republican Party.
There is a significant constituency within the Republican coalition, particularly in the South, that expresses sympathy in various ways, sympathetic views toward the Confederacy, and don't want to be reminded that the reason the Confederacy existed was to preserve slavery.
She is peddling and playing footsie to extremism or Trumpism, who is now taking over the modern-day Republican Party. This is what happens when you want to whitewash history. This is more about who the modern-day Republican Party is and their effort to embrace Trumpism.
So it's all about the Confederates, but Nikki Haley removed the Confederate flag from the state capitol. But sure, she's racist and she denies slavery, right? This tells you everything you need to know about the leftist playbook. The goal is always to label the entire Republican Party as racist. They even tried calling Ben Carson racist a few years back. Yes, Ben Carson. Trump did more for the black community than any president in the last few decades. But sure, he's racist too. Here's reporter Ryan Lizza asking me if Trump wished the South had won the Civil War.
Does President Trump believe that it was a good thing that the South lost the Civil War? And then two, is he interested in following NASCAR's example and banning the Confederate flag at his own events?
Well, your first question is absolutely absurd. He's proud of the United States of America. Do you see the pattern here? That is the playbook, the same one time and time again. Reporters and operatives throw out ridiculous questions, hoping you slip up and say something that they can plaster on their websites, newspapers, and cable news chyrons. But here's who they should be reporting on and who actually needs a history lesson. Young people, especially young people in the far left flank of the Democratic Party. They have a completely warped sense of history, morals, and current events that were ignited by our radical education system and then accelerated by social media. A Harvard-Harris poll shows a majority of Americans aged 18 to 39, a majority, say the best way to resolve the Israel-Palestinian war is for, quote, Israel to be ended and given to Hamas. Give the Jew-hating terrorists control of a Jewish state. Guaranteed genocide. That's what they're asking for. That same group of young people think Jews are, quote, oppressors and should be treated as oppressors, even though Jews are one of the world's smallest minority groups. And let this one sink in. 60% of Americans, 60%, 18 to 24, think the October terrorist attack on Israel was justified by the grievance of the Palestinians. Babies in ovens, they say, was justified. Those numbers are unbelievably high. They have no concept of what is happening in the world. Their brains have been fried by social media and higher education. Another poll, this one is shocking, shows 20% of Americans under 30 think that the Holocaust was a myth. Go to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. Take a field trip. And 30% of Gen Z voters say bin Laden, is a force for good. 30% say bin Laden, a force for good.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.